Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Today we are discussing hidden gems that are Xbox 360 exclusives. The Xbox 360 was released 18 years ago, and let me tell you, saying that makes me feel incredibly old. The Xbox 360 boasts an impressive lineup of games, and its library is full of titles that I continue to revisit. While the 360 is often associated with blockbuster exclusives like Halo, Gears of War, Fable, and a few other franchises, it has a surprising catalog of interesting games that were only on that console. I believe some of its overlooked gems don't receive the praise that they deserve. Today, I want to delve into some of my favorites, and hopefully you can discover some new and enjoyable games. Keep in mind that this is not a definitive list, and there are many more hidden gems, so feel free to share your favorites in the comments. So let's go ahead and dive into this list. First up is Beautiful Katamari, released on October 16th, 2007. It was published by Namco Bandai Games and developed by Now Production. Beautiful Katamari is the fourth installment in the Katamari series, and at the time the first to appear on a non-Sony console, making it even more surprising that it's an Xbox exclusive. Supposedly there were plans to make it multi-platform, but it ended up just being on Xbox. In Beautiful Katamari, you play as the prince tasked by the king of all cosmos to rebuild the universe by rolling up objects with Katamaris, making them progressively larger to create planets. It's an odd idea and an odd game, but its quirkiness is what makes it endearing. Rolling around as a little character in vast, beautifully colored levels with a distinct visual style is incredibly entertaining. The game is filled with a large variety of items to collect and numerous locations to explore. Everyday items are scattered across levels, and the way everything is laid out adds a touch of humor to the experience. Picking up penguins in the middle of the city or collecting humans alongside other items to be converted into a planet adds to the game's charm. The controls are simple. You use both sticks to turn the ball, flip around by clicking them, and dash by wagging them back and forth. The controls are streamlined, fitting well with the fast-paced nature of each level that has a time limit for collecting items and getting to a certain size. The game is fast-paced, silly, and provides a straightforward good time. The incredible variety in places to go and items to collect, coupled with great music, makes Beautiful Katamari highly memorable, and it's something completely unique on the Xbox 360. Some people might say that the first two Katamari games on the PlayStation couldn't quite be placed as a hidden gem. They're incredible games and they're well known, and many people would recommend them even though they are odd. I include Beautiful Katamari on this list because I believe it is often overlooked and it received average reviews at the time. It stands as an excellent entry in the series. If you love the franchise, you'll find more of what you love, and if you've never played these games before, Beautiful Katamari is a solid introduction. It's adorable, cute, and wonderfully weird. Let's shift gears to a completely different game with The Outfit. Released within the first year of the Xbox 360's lifespan on March 13th, 2006. It was published by THQ and developed by Relic Entertainment. The Outfit is a World War II third-person shooter where you embark on missions to take away spawn points and military bases from Nazis. What makes this game stand out in my eyes is its real-time strategy elements. Beyond just shooting enemies, you control your battalion, spawning in vehicles and weapons. With kills and more territory taken over, you earn points to call in more tanks and airstrikes. If you're a fan of the Battalion Wars series, The Outfit might strike a chord with you. It takes the common World War II shooter theme of the time and adds a unique touch to make it stand out. The game also has this fun, classic B-movie feel, with each character you control having a distinct personality. The voices of Ron Perlman, Robert Patrick, and Terrence C. Carson contribute to just the over-the-top action feeling, and it creates a really fun narrative. The game doesn't strive for realism, which is something that I appreciate. You can mow down waves of enemies, choose your favorite vehicle, or defend by setting up mounted guns. Ultimately, the choice is yours, and you can just call these things in and they will drop down from the sky. I also remember multiplayer being extremely enjoyable. RTS console games like this and Brutal Legends that kind of bridge the line between genres often had an excellent multiplayer experience, and this was one of them. Even the demo let you play the multiplayer, and I think that showed off one of the better qualities of this game. Unfortunately, it might be a bit tough to find a game now, but if you ever get a chance, it's well worth it. The story still remains great though. While the outfit follows a linear storyline, it can be finished fairly quickly. But I don't mind it because it never overstays its welcome. There are also little side missions with each main mission that help you earn achievements, and it provides plenty to explore. The game's colorful, cartoony aesthetic, and for 2006 solid environments and draw distance makes it stand out. It's one of the best early exclusives that the Xbox 360 got in my opinion. The outfit is a game that not many people have talked about, but I believe it offers a very unique experience worth giving a try. Next on the list is Lost Odyssey, a turn-based RPG released in North America on February 12, 2008. It was published by Microsoft Game Studios and developed by FeelPlus. This game has gained a higher reputation now than it ever has, and while I was a little reluctant to include it on this list, I still believe it deserves more notoriety. It's a fantastic RPG, and if you love turn-based games, this one is going to be right up your alley. Interestingly, it didn't receive much attention back in the day, possibly because in the late 2000s, I feel like a lot of reviewers were looking for action RPGs and weren't too interested in the old school turn-based combat system that Lost Odyssey has. It got some good reviews, but it feels like it was overlooked. I appreciate a good turn-based game though, and Lost Odyssey delivers with a highly interesting story. The plot takes precedence here, featuring tons of text and backstory to delve into. The game is set in a world that has melded magic and industry together, creating a unique blend of giant destructive machines and magical fantasy. It's a fascinating world to explore with cutscenes that are lengthy but provide detailed explanations of the world. The character you play is an immortal who survived a giant meteor wiping out an entire army. Meanwhile, in the background, there is a large amount of political intrigue with forces trying to re-establish a monarchy. There's a lot to it, so if you appreciate a deep and interesting lore, you are going to find this one compelling. The music is composed by the legendary Nobuo Uematsu, known for many classic Final Fantasy soundtracks, and it's gorgeous. It melds from various genres to create something full of variety, and I love how much it sounds like the classic Final Fantasy PlayStation games. If you like those games, you'll appreciate the simple roots that Lost Odyssey bases its gameplay on. It employs straightforward turn-based combat with a light timing element where you can get higher scores if you time a button press, but it's easy to manage. You learn skills from non-immortals, but you can also acquire them from equipment you pick up. A system that we've seen before, but is handled exceptionally well here. If you enjoy a solid RPG experience, Lost Odyssey is one of my favorites of that generation. It has a great core gameplay, but what really sells it is its world. The story is unique, and the characters are surprisingly deep and lovable. All the voice work done for the English version is surprisingly good, and it doesn't feel half-baked. Although it was brought over to the States lovingly and sold decently, it was quickly forgotten. Its reputation has been helped by being backwards compatible on the series consoles and by word of mouth, but I still believe not enough people have played this one. If you're in for a deep and interesting turn-based RPG experience, Lost Odyssey is worth exploring. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this list so far, be sure to hit that like button as it helps me out a lot in the algorithm. Also consider subscribing to keep up with the retro Xbox content on this channel, but let's continue. Let's move on to Culdcept Saga, released on February 5th, 2007. It was published by Namco Bandai and developed by Amiya Soft with Jamsworks. Culdcept Saga is one of the entries in the Culdcept series, but this was the first one that I had tried, and it's such an oddball release that I think more people should take a look at it. In this game, you play as a slave who discovers they are a scepter, someone who can control magical cards. You start out by playing tournaments using these cards, but As the game progresses, you have to utilize them to save the kingdom. It's a simple story that moves the game along nicely, but the gameplay is the most interesting part of this one. This game is a mix between trading card games like Magic the Gathering and board games like Monopoly. It's a wild idea, but it surprisingly works out extremely well. You get a board and you place monsters in your deck on locations around the board. You earn points through placing monsters, but your competitor can land on these places, fight your monsters, and take them over. It's all about having the most property on the board, but you also should be going across the board to pass go, so you can earn enough points to keep going and placing down monsters. It's a little bit of strategy mixed with a card game, and I absolutely love digital versions of games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh!, so I felt right at home with this one. It's not as simple as I make it out to be though. There's a lot to do with elements and placing like elements against each other for bonuses. Every card has traits that can change the tide of battle. The game is steeped in rules and the manual is a huge one. But I love that about it. It's a game that takes time to learn, but once you do, it's rewarding just how much fun there is to be had here. This game also has multiplayer, so if you like playing games like Fortune Street or Dokapon Kingdom with your friends, this one will be right up your alley. Its graphics are nice and clean with a nice anime style. The music is done by Kenji Ito, who is one of my favorite composers in video game music, and here it's all simple and well done. It surprisingly develops its world well and creates an interesting atmosphere that fits well into this game. This one is probably the oddest Xbox exclusive out of what I've listed, and I love that about it. It's definitely worth it for any fan of card or board games. The final game that I will talk about today is 99 Nights, a hack and slash game that released on August 15th, 2006. It was published by Microsoft Game Studios and developed by Q Entertainment with Fantagram. I hardly hear anybody talk about this game other than that weird E3 moment for its sequel.
1 million troops. 1 million troops. Wow. 1 million troops. Love you guys.
This is a huge hack and slash game where you face off against hordes of enemies using your character. If you like games like Dynasty Warriors or the Kingdom Under Fire titles that came out around the same time, you'll get a kick out of this one. I won't say you will be blown away by a highly interesting experience, but it's simple fun, and I can always appreciate a game with strong entertainment value. There are so many enemies flooding the areas that you explore and you will be surrounded. Using all the combos that you have learned, you wipe them all out, and it's not as simple as button mashing, which works somewhat, but when you get to the bosses, you really need to think about the best combos possible. It's all about running through and mowing enemies down, but you also control a troop with you, and you can control them to help keep the enemy count lower and make the fights easier for you. There are also nice RPG elements like picking up items that you can equip to make yourself stronger and sometimes make your game even more difficult. It's pure and simple fun gameplay. There's a cheesy story here, but I'll be honest with you, it's nothing spectacular. You do get a nice sense of personality with each of the characters you play. There's a good variety in all of their playstyles, and they all get different stories that are elaborated on, which adds a nice replay value to the experience. I don't think everyone is going to love this game, but it's addicting in the short bursts that the levels provide. The combo system is surprisingly satisfying too. It looks nice with the environments being surprisingly fast, and the number of enemies on screen is impressive for 2006. I think it's a game full of entertainment value, and it's worth playing if you like a nice hack and slash experience. But that wraps it up for today. I hope you found some cool hidden gems along the way, and if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to keep up with the retro Xbox content. And a very special thank you to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.